Today's podcast is brought to you by Barron's Profile of American Colleges. Available now in both print and digital delivery. Find the college of your dream in minutes with barronspoc.com. Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Pro-Life podcast. In this episode, we look at creating your application list and what we can expect along the way. In addition, we take a peek at the process of applying to schools and what you can expect. This will include a discussion about the most helpful and potentially most important web page in our college application process, thecommonapp.org. The first task we're going to tackle is the application list. Every applicant should already have put together a top 5 list using the formula we discussed in episode 1. For those who missed that episode, which I recommend going back to and checking out, we talked about a simple formula. 1 dream school, 3 schools we have a good shot at getting into, and 1 school that's our fallback school, guaranteed to grant us admission that is ranked higher than our local community college. The application list should include these 5 schools at minimum. When I have a student in front of me, I typically use our session notes to make an additional 5 recommendations to them about where I feel they should consider going based on their responses to a questionnaire that I go through with them in increments over several discussions. I look for schools that they have never discussed and that would benefit their academic profile. Perhaps the student has had a lifelong dream of going to Drexel University, but their academic profile is off the chart and they're looking to major in engineering. If their responses to my questionnaire indicate the notion that they're not locked to the immediate area that they live in, say the rural Philadelphia area, and they may be open to moving south, then I consider recommending Emory-Riddle. It's an option that offers an amazing program that's well regarded and has a high job placement rate. The student may reject this recommendation, but in many cases, I present them with options they never thought of. If they're not as dead set on a particular school, then it makes all the sense in the world to consider all their options. In the majority of my discussions, students typically end up with 7 to 8 schools on their application list. Unfortunately, I'm not in front of all you, and I need to get familiar with your situation to make specific recommendations. But if you're working through this on your own, I'd recommend either the Barron POC webpage that we discussed at the opening of the show, or the FastWeb link to provide direction for the schools you may never even consider. Of course, if you're looking for my input, I'd be happy to help. Make sure to go to my webpage at www.frolifeplanning.com and fill out the contact page so I can reach out to you and help you find some matches that would benefit you most. On that note, for listeners of my podcast this month, I'm offering some really exciting incentives. First, all new clients who reference this podcast, I'm offering a free first-time consultation phone interview, which will allow me to gain valuable perspective into what we are looking at. Also, if you decide to sign up for one of our monthly plans, all of my podcast listeners receive 25% off consultation fees throughout your entire undergraduate degree program. Okay, now that we got all the legal mumbo-jumbo out of the way, let's look now at our application list. We have to do a little investigation. Many colleges and universities use a general application. It's found at a website, www.commonapp.org. This webpage provides a direct application access to some of the most reputable institutions around the country. The Common Application is going to include some standard responses, and virtually all schools look for those. They'll include short response questions, essays, and general informational responses. Make sure you look at all constructed response style questions when you plan your responses thoroughly before submitting them. I typically review these with clients all the time to make sure they sound unique and fully address what the schools are looking for. This is essential, as the institutions will be looking for thousands of applications, and many students fall into the trap of saying the same things their peers say. They don't create a specific reason for selecting one candidate over another. You want to make sure when your application reviewer examines your profile, they're left with something they won't forget. Unfortunately, not all schools use the Common App site. My recommendation would be to go to the site and register for a free account to begin the process. You could search through their site and see if your schools are in their system. If they are, the process of applying is much more user-friendly than having to surf from site to site, applying and filling out all the same information over and over again. Instead, all the schools in the Common App webpage receive your information as soon as you submit it in one convenient location. Please make a note of all the application fees associated with each school. They're all going to charge them. It's one of the ways they make money. Check with your school's guidance office and see if you qualify for application exemptions. They'll waive application fees for many of the students who need them. All right, we're going to talk more in depth about the application a bit later. As for the schools who are not found on the Common App website, there are one of two options. First, There are the schools that still require you to fill out paper and pencil forms. Believe it or not, these schools still exist. It's a tedious process and possibly an indicator of what you can expect from them with regards to technology when you get there, if that's something you're concerned about. The second option on most school sites is an electronic form to fill out online and even accept your application fee. These e-forms are as tedious as the paper applications are, but easier to use, much more user-friendly, as they can be typed in and you can save. If you get hand cramps, go do something else. If you're one of those people who's technologically challenged, like some people I know, you may not want to fill the whole thing out at once. Sometimes they'll let you do that. Some schools will require additional essay questions beyond the typical ones found in the common application. These are your opportunity. You can really showcase your talent and blow them away with your writing ability. Take your time with these questions. They can make the difference between an acceptance and a decline. One of the things to keep in mind is that you can apply for early decision or early action programs at roughly 450 institutions around the country. This is for your number one school. I need to be clear about that. Only for your number one school. This decision has to be made early in the 12th grade year, usually by November, to ensure you have enough time to fill out the application and get it submitted for the review panels to think about as early as possible. The key point to make here is that if you apply for early decision and get accepted, you're going to be forced to attend that school. So don't apply to that school unless that is absolutely where you want to go. All the other schools will forego your application should you apply later. If you get accepted to an early action program, you'll receive your acceptance by January or February, but you're not committed to that institution if something else becomes more appealing. Make sure to inquire as to which type of plan your top school offers, if it's early action or early admission. Remember, if the goal is to give yourself options, give every school the best efforts you have, even if you're more passionate about one school than another. When these applications are finalized, the schools making their decisions we want you to have the pick of the litter. But these schools want to feel like they are the number one alpha school in your desire list. So if they can read your essays, they can read what you say to each one of them, and you just don't sound enthusiastic, it's not going to work. You got to put 100% effort into each school you apply at. My students usually talk about getting thick or thin envelopes from school. Thick being accepted, thin being declines. We want all thick envelopes. Once we get all the responses, we can really get going with making our final decisions and notifying the schools of your choice. That, though, is a topic for another day. That's all the time we have for this episode, but check back with us in episode 4, where we'll open up some of those envelopes and try to make that all-important decision about where you'll be able to maximize your potential and have the best college experience. Special thanks go out today to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing all of our music and sound effects used throughout today's show. Today's podcast was sponsored in part by fastweb.com. Search the FastWeb database and help your students access scholarships and financial aid information with the FastWeb free and easy-to-use scholarship search engine. Investigate the college of your dreams with FastWeb's College Profile search engine. Let FastWeb be your guide to higher education. To the U.S. News & World Report Best Colleges 2017, available now at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. To FOPI Metal Detectors Plus, whether you're the casual hunter, the energetic beachcomber, or the underwater enthusiast, FOPI detectors have solutions for all your metal detector needs. And to A&B Education of Lansdale, bringing intercultural education to talented students from around the world. We want to thank you for listening to today's podcast, and we encourage you to go to our website at www.frolifeplanning.com to learn more about what Mr. Fro can do for you. Remember, Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Fro, better known as Mr. Fro, and I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us today. And we look forward to sending out more tips and trips to finding your way to higher education soon. Until then, keep the focus on not just moving up, but moving higher in education.